Hello guys, I'm Super Ron. Welcome back to the channel and we are back on the Caddy project here at Autoshack. Over the last few months, you've seen me transform this once tired commercial vehicle into a full-on show car. We fitted an Audi TT 1.8 turbo engine, we fitted air ride suspension, we fitted all an upgraded fueling system, coolant system, got our wiring worked out, and then in last week's episode, we took it all apart again, and that is all part of the mock-up process. We test fit everything, do a full dry run. Once we're happy, we then take it all apart and then we can get down to the detailing and the painting. All the metal work was sent off to powder coaters last week. The engine is over on the stand, ready for a strip down. And now we are pretty much down to a bare shell where I'll be smoothing the engine bay. Lee is then gonna paint it in a super fresh white. We're gonna get all the flaky stone chip off underneath, reseal it, re-stone chip that, and then all the suspension and parts can go back on. And then from underneath, this is going to look like a brand new car. I think I'm going to start off in the engine bay because out of the front and the rear, the front is going to be a lot less messy. In the back, I'm going to be wire wheeling above my head and getting covered. So I think I'll tackle this one first. We've got lots of holes to weld up. We've got a few more brackets to take off. So let's have a look at that first. I cleaned up all the engine bay, gave that a degrease down and started marking up what holes we're going to keep, which ones are useful and which ones can go. On the bulkhead itself, we've got quite a lot to get rid of. But on the chassis legs, there's not a lot really. We got rid of the battery tray in a previous episode, drilled out all the spot welds along there and along the back. Same with the washer fluid pot on there. So we've just got a few more brackets to get rid of. We've got where the bonnet cable used to go across the top, whereas we're going to sneak it across the outside and up under the front panel. This side, we've just got a few holes to weld up. We've got this bracket, which I think was for the vacuum accumulator. That's just got some spot welds in it, just like we drilled off for the battery tray, so we'll drill them out. And then we can start going along and getting rid of what we don't need. This was for the old throttle cable, so we can weld that up. You can see where I welded the bracket in the other side. This is where the old clutch cable used to come through, and these are really common for pulling out. And as you can see, this one's had a repair and it is cracked. So we need a nice big repair done on this. We might even cut that out completely and just put a plate in. We've got other various ones along here. This one we've got to keep, that's for the heater matrix. That's for the steering, so we've got to keep that. That's for the brake pedal, so we have to keep that. These are for the brake lines that I've circled, so we'll be keeping them. But these tabs are for wiring looms and things like that, so we'll be getting rid of all them. We've got my new holes that I put in for the looms. This one is for the brake servo up there. Then this is where all the looms used to come out of, but the only one we need to keep for this is the heater cable for the heater matrix pipe. All of those I'll be welding up, and we've got the ones for the wiper linkage. We'll be getting rid of that because we've got that one at the back there. This is also a big grommet one. We'll be getting rid of that. We've got the bonnet cable hole down there to get rid of. Also on the engine mounts, you should have a little captive nut in, but they're common for breaking off, which this one has been broken off and they've just bent it round and it's just got a nut and bolt. So we'll take that right off to tidy that up. But for most of this, it's just going to be a clean up. Where I welded the bolts on the other side for the loom, we've got the penetration through, so that just needs grinding off flat. And the same down there where I welded the bracket on for the horn, very over-engineered there, but that certainly will never fall off. And then we've just got the rest of the holes. So for these smaller ones, it's just going to be a case of cleaning them up and we can weld up small ones like that, no problem at all. Our limit is kind of this kind of size here. Ones like this, you can't just weld up. We need to put a plate in. And certainly ones at the back will definitely need plates putting in. Now, a normal way of doing it is just to take a plate, put it on the back like that, weld it up with a few tacks and then just fill over it. A few problems with that. It looks rubbish on the back. And also you get sinkage and you could get cracks and stuff. So what we tend to do is cut all our plates exactly the right size for the holes and weld them in flush. So then we can grind them down, metal finish it. And so remember where we welded up the spot welds on here and grounded it all flat? That's the finish we can go for. And then it might just need a little bit of stopper like you can see in there. But that'll cut down on filler, that'll cut down on priming and cut down on prep work. So the better we can get it as bare metal, we can then cut down on the filler work that needs to be done, probability of sinkage in the future, where the filler contracts and then you get a big dip. Overall, it's just a lot better. If you can metal finish it nicely, that just improves every step after that. So we're not going to strip the entire bay because we want to keep all the factory sealer around the turrets and that, so it still looks kind of factory, but where it's a bit rough and a bit rusty, we'll be bare metal in all that and just giving that a good prime. So let's get the grinder out, let's get the wire wheel out, start cleaning this up. You can see along the front panel, it's a little bit scabby, but it's not actually rusty. So we'll wire wheel that off, and the same with the lower front panel. It's all still solid, just where the paint has worn off a bit. But overall, this bay is in very good condition indeed, which makes my life a lot easier. And that is the front end all smoothed off. We've got all the paint and rust off the front panel, so they cleaned up nicely. All the way both sides. So all that took was just a DL and a wire wheel in the corners. And I've started welding up the points on the chassis leg. So these are the easy ones because they're so much thicker, you can just fill the hole. Now we've got to move on to making the shapes for the thinner panels to get around, especially on the big ones here. They all need plates making up. Same on the sides here. We've got this one welded up and the ones down here all welded, so they'll grind off flat. So some of them I've got already because the hole that we cut out from here is the same size as these ones. So I can clean these up and then they'll weld in there nicely. And all finished down and they disappear into the metal. I'm super happy with that. I also trimmed down this edge so it's nice and flat as well and smooth that off, because if you look at how they are factory, they're kind of spot welded together but they're not very neat at the top, kind of wobbles along there. So if you just match the two sides, that makes it look a lot nicer on both sides. So I might just need a little bit of stopper in there just to get that little ridge out, because I couldn't get in there with the DA without disturbing this. But these ones have all gone in perfectly. It's metal finished, and the ones that are there all disappeared. All the ones on there. So it's looking good, happy with that. Let's start on the slightly more technical stuff. So I've just been linishing back the welds from that pedal, and now got to the clutch repair, and I think this can actually come off because that's completely cracked on the bulkhead there. It is common on these and it's had a bit of a manky repair, but when the engine's in, that's the best you can do. But as it is all cracked in there, I think I might just chop all this out. In there's all looking good. We'll carry on working across. We can get to these spot welds now as well, as we're up here. I found a washer that is almost the right size, just a little bit big to fit in the hole. So I've put it in the drill, got my grinder, I'm going to have a human lathe to spin it down a bit. Oh, perfect. And with a magnet on the back to help it. Fits in there. Perfect. Let's weld this in. All sitting flush. Almost can't see it already. And on. And then I've made some other ones. Got that one. Perfect. Nice. Nice. And this one. Perfect. Perfect. Nice. I ended up remaking these ones so they're a bit more snugger and they fit in there just like that. And that one for there, and one for there. So let's get these all welded in. That's those ones on. They're completely flush, so we can weld them round. That one's on. I left the bolts on because what that allows me to do is put it in, tack it, and I can just twist it up, down, left and right. Because some of these aren't completely flat, if I did it flat that would curve in, because some of these curve out. So that means I can tack it at the top and then twist it in and out if I need to. So we'll get these last few ones done. Got that one done. Got that one done, that one done, then we can start welding all the way round. So let's get these in, remembering to leave the heater cable one, don't weld that up. Let's get some more tacks on. So I welded these from the other side to keep grinding down on the bay side, because as you can see there's still penetration coming through, filling the gap. So that means I've just got a lot less to grind down here, and then any little gaps that I do have to do, I can just tack them in like I did elsewhere. Most of this one's covered, just have to do a little bit over that side. And same with that one, most of it is filled up, so that just cuts down on grinding, because every time you grind a bit off this actual layer it just makes it a little bit more thinner. And on these firewalls they're extremely thin. We've got these ones all tacked in, and you can see there is a little blowhole already, so we'll just weld that back together. It's no big deal, but it's just what you got to be careful, because these are so thin and tinny it doesn't take a lot to burn through. So let's hop around the other side and I'll weld these ones from the back as well, and then we can grind off this front. So I've had a big clear out inside, got the fuse box and everything out so I can get to these. So we'll just weld them ones on that we need. So let's get Mr. Mk. So I've just filled in those couple of spots. Let's see what we're left with. And all finished off, you can see, you can't even tell. Circles were there, and that is completely smooth. You go to the back and you can see all the patches, all the welds, but on the front I completely disappeared. Nice and smooth. Just got to finish off this one here because I couldn't get the grinder in there, because there we'll get that with a power file. That is looking smooth. So I think next, now we've done all the welding in this area, I'll get this linished down and tidy up this so it matches the other, because when you weld here you get lots of splatter down on here, so I didn't want to finish this side too much. So I'll neaten up this lip and get it all perfect like I did on this side. This side is all done as well, everything's ground down smooth, so the sides are starting to come to shape. And the other thing of course we've got to finish off is where I had my chassis notch, and then we took it along further for the boost pipe to come through. Just got a box in that little bit there, so a nice little triangle, make up a little piece for that, and that'll disappear back into a chassis leg. And folded up a little plate for that, fits in like that, and trim to shape. Let's weld it in. And all welded on. That certainly isn't going anywhere. Nice and tough both sides, so that can be smoothed off. So the last thing we've just got to do is put this brake line bracket on that we had to cut off that was lower, and we'll fit this up here and on. That certainly ain't going anywhere. I just double checked and triple checked the radiator video and worked out which one we are using. So welded up the spare ones because they look a bit ugly there. These ones at least are nice crisp holes. These ones are a bit ugly. So we've got the one that we need for the radiator there, and we'll smooth these ones off. Right, just had a big mid-session tidy up because we were getting in a bit of a dump here. Extension leads everywhere, grinders everywhere, and dust everywhere. But now we're all cleaned up and it is looking pretty special. So I've got the front panel, all those holes lineaged off, so we've just got the one that we need. And the front panel is looking perfect. Got all the top of the chassis legs done. Got everything smoothed off in here and here. Same on this side. All these are perfectly smooth now. Got the old loom holes all smoothed off. So they're a bit tricky in there because we're quite far in. It's hard to get it smooth, but they've still gone all right. They might just need a little skim with filler just to finish it off. And on the inside, you can see that's all welded up. So we will prime and seal all the other holes in here. That's looking nice. All sealed, all welded, all the way around. So the last bit really we've got to do is this clutch repair. So I think I'm just going to cut out a square, just cut all this out because it's all cracked and fractured, and weld a new bit in. But I'm very, very happy with that. So here's the bit that needs to go. So we've got a much tidier square hole, made up and bent, a little plate, slots in there. And all fits in really nice. Now we can weld that in and that'll disappear as well. And there's that all welded in, and with a quick grind, it disappears. Loving that. That's the best one so far. That is a proper metal finished. Two more. And while we've got Mr. Mig out, I think we'll just get rid of these extra holes. We don't need them anymore, and that's just going to make a super smooth front panel. And I think we've got everything now welded up. Everything is ground down. I've just had a few hours of grinding on all the plates, finishing everything off, tidying everything up. The front panel now is completely smooth, no holes, no extra bits, just what we need. All along the chassis legs, really tidied up, nice. So that's a nice finished edge along there now. And I did the same on this side, welded up all the holes, got this lip along the top, all nice and uniform. All our holes along there are good. We've got our holes up here, all in and smoothed off. I've moved the speedo hole to here. That used to be over that side, but then it kind of came along the back. So we've got the new speedo hole there. We've got our loom holes down the bottom, and then I remembered we needed a separate one for our clutch line to come through, the hydraulic line. We could have put it through with the loom, but that'll just mean if we keep them separate, if we do take the engine out, that loom can be completely separate with that. And we've got the little one for the heater core there. My proudest plate is this clutch one, because that is invisible. That's all going to be good. Got all the ones in the corner done. All the ones along the top. We are looking good. And then I've cleaned up the outside, ready to be sealed up and stone chipped. And you can see these are all original panels. And they are pristine, just as they come out of the factory. And these are all open to the elements. So they are looking good. Same on the other side, cleaned it all up. And that's ready for a seal up and a stone chip. But you can see how tidy the inner wings are. This definitely is the right car for this project. So I think what I'm going to do next is going to be a good idea to seal up all these wheel arches and stone chip them now, because the last thing we want to do is stone chip it all up and some of it splats into the freshly painted bay. So we better to do it at this stage. So we're just going to put a little bit of sealer around all these, give them an etch prime up, make sure everything is sealed because these don't have wheel arch liners. So we're just going to run the sealer along all the seams, everywhere where there was a weld patch, and then stone chip these all up. Just got a lick of primer over the inner wings, and these are pristine. So let's get these sealed up. And then just make under here look like the factory stipple. And that is all sealed up, ready for the stone chip. So that just gives it a little bit more protection around all the bits that have been welded. But I've gone around the factory seams, resealed all them, and that is looking factory fresh. I've just gone around the bay as well because at the moment it's hard to tell where the plates are because it's all smooth. So when Lee's going to be prepping it, he can just decide whether it needs just a prime or a little bit of filler. So everywhere there was a plate gone in has now got a little X on it. Otherwise something could be missed and then we wouldn't want it to be painted. It's like that. We all know where everything has been. And I've got this side all sealed up as well, all around the little holes I welded up, all our little spigots for our wiring loom, and then redone the factory sealer in there, and also sealed up all inside. So where all our plates were, that's now all sealed up. Where our loom used to go through, that's all sealed up ready. So we can get all this sealed up, primed and nice, because the last thing we want to do is paint all in there and stone chip it up and have some of it blow through to our brand new bay. So I think we are ready for the prep stage. So I am really happy with progress on this. We've gone that little extra step, making sure everything is metal finished and everything is smooth. Like I said at the beginning, you can just tack a plate behind, fiberglass it in, but that's not the right way to do it. This is. It's going to take minimal prep here. There's just a few little bits that are going to have a little bit of stopper in, and then it'll be ready for a prime and a paint. Putting the extra effort into the welding and getting that perfect just cuts down all the stages after that of the filling, the reshaping, trying to make shapes, make body lines, all out of filler. Not the right way to do it. So my stage of the work in this bay is now complete. I don't get involved in the prep and paint side. That'll be going over to Lee on his side of the workshop. So I'm gonna get all this cleaned up, all blown out, and he's just gonna put a little bit of stopper in any bits that need it. And then it's gonna have a nice prime, and then it'll be ready for its Colgate white respray. This is gonna look fantastic. I love how all the turrets and everything has their original sealer. And the thing with welding up all the holes, you don't actually know that they were there. So unless you really know your Mk1s, you've got no idea what I have taken away. And it just completes that full-on smooth look. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's been a big fabrication, just a lot of welding, a lot of grinding, a lot of smoothing, but the outcome speaks for itself. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a like and be sure to tune in. If you're only just joining us, this whole series is now in a playlist, so you can go back to the beginning, catch all the way up to where we are now and be ready for the next video next week. So until then, make sure you have fun.